My name's Matt. I'm here with Dan Gookin. How are you, Dan?
I'm doing well. Thank
Good.
you, Matt. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I don't know where to start to introduce you. So I think I'll just go back to when I very first met you.
Okay.
And we were doing, Grease.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were doing Grease.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a girlfriend that was in theater at the time, so she was like getting me involved and stuff. But I played guitar.
Yeah.
So I wasn't on stage. And I noticed you, and I just thought you were a really talented guy who I'd never seen before. And I was just like, who is this guy?
Uh-huh.
And you were always kind of dressed a little sloppy.
Like a slob, yes.
And, that's really typical in theaters. People just kind of,
Yeah.
they come to rehearsals.
Comfy.
They get off work,
Mm-hmm.
they come home, they go anyway. And I just thought, okay, that's cool. And then all of a sudden I saw you get out of the theater and step into a Viper. And I thought, who is this guy? How does he have a Viper? And somebody goes, oh, that's Dan Gookin. He did the dummy books. I'm like, what? Really? I just thought that was really cool. And it's just really hard to kind of I've kept an eye on you for years. And I've kind of, watched you on Facebook. And I know your kids. And I know your ex. And I know a lot of people around you. Then you got elected. But, what do you have to say for yourself?
Hi.
Yeah.
I dress better now.
Yeah, you look nice.
A little bit. I mean, it's work in progress. But I still like dressing casually. I mean, I always did. I never got that whole dressing thing. So, yeah I still fashion unconscious.
Yeah, me too, I guess.
Yeah.
This is like the coolest shirt I have. I'm wearing it today just for you. So you sent me some email pictures, and what I use to kind of interview people is what I know personally a little bit, but I like to comb through their Facebook.
Ooh, okay.
So I've done some Facebook combing,
Okay, good.
and I downloaded some pictures.
Okay.
But you sent me some email pictures. Why don't we start with those? And
Sure.
I really like this one. Tell me about it.
So this is was running for county clerk a couple years ago, 2018, and I was decided to do it as a nonpartisan, which of course meant I wasn't going to win anyway.
Okay.
And so a friend let me try to pound a sign into his front yard, which had the hardest dirt in the county. So I had to get the mallet out.
Let's see that. You know what I do with my real estate signs is I have a drill.
Yeah.
And I drill holes into the dirt.
Well, I carried a piece of rebar, like 2.5 feet or something.
Oh yeah,
I would pound
that's a good idea
and
too.
Stir it around to try to get the wood in, because some of the ground around here is really hard.
I just need little teeny. I use yard signs.
Oh, okay.
Wire.
Oh, there you go. The wire ones. Well, this is a big sign.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So that was fun. I did okay, but I didn't win, of course. It's a Republican county, so yeah.
Okay. So we're just gonna look at these here, and you can tell me about them.
Okay. Well, this is back when I was really fat. And that's in the early 2000s. There was a show on, it was on a bunch of computer channels that got eventually canceled. And this was, Screensavers was the name of the show.
Okay.
And and I was a guest on Screensavers, which was really fun. And they had me do some Windows tricks. And they wanted me to come back too, but I did not, I was not appreciative, shall we say, of their desires. They kept on saying, well, these tricks are too easy. We want something really, really advanced. And I was like, well, no, I'm just not going to do that. I mean, I deal with people who are beginners who are learning things, and I want to help them out. I don't want to just do nerd stuff. But they just wanted the nerd stuff, so I'm like, okay, thank you.
Well, then you're catering to them and not to me.
Well, yeah, not to the audience, not to the people who I really want to reach, which is, going to help me is to reach the people I want to reach. Not to be a total nerd. It was fun though. I was on that show, and the book I was promoting at the time went to the top on Amazon, so that was kind of cool.
Okay, we're going to talk more about your book stuff here, because like I said, I downloaded some pictures too.
Yeah.
And this brings back a lot of memories for me. So tell me about this.
Well, I did a lot of shows at the Playhouse, and I designed a lot of the sets. And
really?
Lighting. Yeah, and I didn't save a lot of the sets and the lighting. That I didn't take pictures of it, because you're doing it, and you're in the middle of it, and I don't really think, wow, I should really take a picture. And Mikado was the only one that I actually did, and so this was the set I designed for Mikado, and then I was in Mikado. Actually, that's me standing in the center there.
You were the Grand Executioner.
I was the Lord High Executioner.
Yeah.
And so that was the set we built for the Mikado, and that I designed, and did the lighting for that too, which is really pretty. It's like the only show we have at the Playhouse where I have lots of pictures. So I probably have pictures of you too.
You probably do
in the Mikado, because it was.
I'm probably on. No, I don't think I'm on stage right there.
You might not be on this one, but there was definitely a few that I have. I mean, I have a lot of the pictures because obviously someone's sitting in the audience taking pictures.
I was a town folk.
Yes,
I was a town folk.
Yeah,
with your son.
Oh, cool, Jordan. Yeah.
Yes, and we had an opening scene where we did the karate dance. He taught me that. He taught me that, and we worked on that. So, good memories. The makeup was hell.
Makeup was hell, and it was bad
makeup
too, because in all the pictures we have of the Mikado, unfortunately, you can't see our faces because the color is so white.
Yeah, but didn't you have a makeup artist come in a couple times?
We had a guy who worked in Hollywood who taught us all the kabuki makeup. But, I've watched a lot of Mikado on YouTube, and the thing is, they all tone it down. So we were doing like motion picture makeup where you can go and adjust the lighting.
Very detailed.
And you can adjust the camera exposure and stuff. But when you and on stage it looked fine, but when you take a picture of it, you just see this white blob.
Yeah, because I came in early. It was for a Sunday matinee, and I came in early.
Yeah.
And you were getting your makeup. I'm pretty sure it was you.
Probably.
Getting your makeup done by this artist.
Yeah.
And it was just astonishing. I definitely
he came back to
remember
correct us on certain things, but anyway. And then
these aren't big. I don't know if I can.
See, this is as big as I got, and
that's okay.
Because it's years ago.
I wish I would have downloaded them, but that's okay.
No, it's cool. This is from the Vantastics, which was done in early 2003 maybe. Yeah, and I played one of the fathers. I think I was Robbie French's father.
Robbie.
So, yeah. So anyway, that was fun. And then there's another picture from the Mikado, which is me on the left, and then Poobah, who was played by actually I think he's a professional singer. He was a professional opera singer, and he was really good. I don't recall his name, but he was a lot of fun.
Do you ever watch Curb Your Enthusiasm?
No.
You ever seen that? Because
really.
he used a lot of Mikado music.
Oh, really? Fun.
No lyrics.
Yeah.
They just use a.
Oh, that's neat. Yeah, that's good.
Three Little Maids from School, stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right, so here's you and your
that's
like your campaigning or something.
No, this is the 4th of July parade. This was me, and I think my son was in the car with me on that day. So we did a that's a political. I don't. This is the thing. I'm always a guy who takes pictures. So whenever I go to a political event, I don't really take pictures of myself. And I don't have anyone. I'm not like
You're not a millennial?
Yeah, I'm not a millennial. I don't take the selfie.
Taking selfies every 5 seconds?
No. What I do is I need to have someone take a picture of me when I'm doing things, because I do things. But this one, fortunately, I knew the guy who was organizing the parade, and he said, "Oh, I'll take your picture." I think it was a city employee. So. Okay,
that's cool. And that's the Jeep you arrived in.
That's
today.
My Jeep. Yeah. And there's a certificate of election for. I think this is the first time I won city council back in 2011.
Yep.
So, yeah.
2011. So that's what my research said too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you get this little certificate, and they sign it and everything, and it's like, yay! Now I'm elected.
So look at this.
And
all right. So
it's all my books.
Yeah, and I have questions for you on this. So
sure. We'll
hold off on that for a second, but.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's you in a lot of your books. That's very impressive.
It's up on the wall. And this is another certificate of election that I got. This is in 2002 when I ran as a Libertarian for a precinct committee seat, and I won it because we had a contested race. So they went to the trouble of printing me off this certificate, which is like, okay, fine.
And I noticed you wrote a book on how to win
election. Running for local office. I don't tell you how to win. I just tell you
how to run.
There's a big difference.
And who's this? What's this?
I did a book signing when Borders was back here in town, and so I did a book signing, and so that's a picture of me way back when. I had real long hair, and they had a dummies guy character there.
Nice.
And I took a picture standing next to him.
That's a great costume.
One of the rare times that I actually was have a picture of me in the picture. So I did a book signing. I think we had a total of like 2 people show up for that.
Oh my goodness! Well,
no one wants to have a computer book author sign anything. So
you're still alive, and that's a big problem.
Yeah, I could sign anything still.
So if you were to pass away, you'd probably have more people interested.
Is that going to be later in the show?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Was that it? Was it?
That's all the pictures.
Okay, those were great. Because I was looking for Mikado pictures. I didn't even think to dig through my own personal stash.
Right.
Because I know I have a bunch. I have like a couple rolls.
Well, I didn't keep pictures. Like I said, I would design a set. Like the set for Ruthless was brilliant. I mean, I loved it so much because it was a reveal. The first act, it was just a flat wall. And there were some special effects and stuff in it too. But then what happened was we were able to make the wall disappear, and then the rest of the set was like this huge Beetlejuice cave with all these weird angles and everything, and a lot of 3D in it. So we went from 2-dimensional to 3-dimensional, and I used a really interesting trick to reveal it. So people didn't really expect it. All of a sudden they come back in after Act 2 and the curtain opens, and it's like, holy cow, where'd that come from?
Well, you know, something I'm learning here already is that you have a much deeper love for theater than I thought you did.
Oh yeah, no, that's my
knew
minor.
I knew you were into it.
Yeah.
I knew, but I had no idea you were so deeply into it.
Yeah, I took. What my original plan was for career was I wanted to go to Hollywood and be a scenic designer. I wanted to design sets. And so I took radio and TV production and film production, and I took costume design, scene design, lighting design, all this stuff to try to do that. I took psychology to figure out the cognitive makeup of a scene, so you can direct people's eyes and you can use angles and stuff to manipulate people, basically.
Yeah. Well, to entertain them at a deeper level.
What works, what doesn't work, you know. And actually, that came back to the dummies, because when I did dummies and they said the cover was going to be yellow and black, I'm like, yeah, because those are the best contrasting colors in the world.
And that's what they use for advertising. McDonald's.
Yeah, McDonald's.
You know, everybody uses
traffic signs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
exactly.
why that's the psychological.
And red
research.
too, right?
Well, red to a lesser degree. You can see yellow and black from a farther distance than you can red.
Okay.
So that's, you know. But anyway, I studied all that stuff, and so I wanted to get involved in the theater. We lived in Issaquah, Washington before here, and they had a little theater, and we weren't there. We were there we were there 18 months. And we saw them put on Jesus Christ Superstar there, which was really fun. That theater is actually smaller than the Lake City Playhouse. And the
music will carry it no matter what.
Always.
I love the music for that.
It was fun. They did a great job. We weren't there long enough, and I was too busy writing books at the time to get involved in the theater. So we moved over here in '93. And I was still really busy until about '97, and finally I just showed up at the theater one day and walked in and said, hey, you know, what do you got going on? Do you need, because you always love it when volunteers show up at the theater, because there's always something to be painted, put away, stored, torn apart. And so I'm like, do you need help doing anything? And they said, no, talk to this guy who I actually knew because there was a restaurant on the east side of town called Tubbs, and we hung out in Tubbs.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I hung out there too. The actors.
I met the theater people, and I was like, cool, I want to be involved. And actually it was really funny, because when I met the guy who was supposedly running the theater at the time, Steve Sable, and he's like, you want to direct a show for us?
Oh my gosh. Just like, did he know your background?
No, not at all. They were just desperate to find anyone.
Oh my God.
And so I'm like, okay.
It's like winning the lottery.
Yeah.
For them. They didn't even know it.
No, and so we my ex and I went and got really involved in the theater, and we ran it. At one time we had 600 season ticket holders. I mean, so basically we would sell out an entire weekend before the show would come on. We were able to...
It was hopping back then.
Yeah, we were able to buy all the shows ahead of time. So like you showed the picture of the Vantastics, the theater never paid for that. They never sent in the forms. We put it on illegally. But I didn't know that was after I had left. So
are we past the statute of limitations?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to care. But you know, because it's like it's a major problem. But we were able to buy all the shows ahead of time, buy the entire season, so it was all paid for. Budget for all the costumes and props and everything, and it was really we did a hell of a job. And then we just lost interest. So we decided to get divorced, and things just kind of went.
Yeah, because you guys did Children of Eden.
Yes.
You did that. Grease, you were involved in Grease.
That was in '97. Children of Eden was like in 01, 02 maybe.
Yep.
And then,
right after 9/11.
I think the last show we did that we were in charge of was Mousetrap.
Yep.
And then we just, after that, we went our separate ways. The theater was under new management.
Yeah.
For a long time.
All right, that's all. That's great. That's great stuff. So I have a question. I've been dying to ask you this.
Sure.
Are you Batman?
Yes.
Okay.
No, my son Jonah is Batman.
I just wanted to find out for sure if you're Batman or not.
No, that was so cool, because my son Jonah was with me. He took this picture. And that was at one of the 4th of July, and there was a guy who dresses... Actually, it's funny, because he dresses not as the Adam West Batman, so this is the Adam West Batman.
Yeah. It
He
looks...
dressed more like the Michael Keaton Batman.
Okay.
And he just drove through town. He's like, "Oh, can I be in your parade?" I forgot to mute my phone. Sorry.
Mine isn't muted either, so it might go off too. We'll find out.
So the guy was part of the parade, and we met him, and he was really cool, and we got to take a picture posed by the Batmobile, the recreation of the Batmobile.
Right in front of the Hawk Shop.
Yeah, right in front of the Hawk Shop.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. So I that was one of my profile pictures for something. And just to get a picture of Jonah, because Jonah loves Batman, and that was just really neat.
Yeah, that's a cool picture.
Yeah.
And my other question is, has Coeur d'Alene been taken over by the Communist Chinese yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not
Okay.
yet. They're close.
Wanted to get that out of the way.
Yeah.
We'll get a little bit into politics just
Sure.
based on your pictures, but
sorry, now I have to check to see if that's a human. Okay, it is. And the phone gets muted.
so
This is what professionals do. Before.
I know, right?
Uh-huh.
We're not professionals.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not. It looks like you have an event coming up.
Yes,
Let's just talk about that
The
for a
John
second.
Birch Society has asked me to
Love the John Birch Society.
to go ahead and show up to them, and
Awesome.
I go anywhere people invite me to speak. I've spoken to Antifa. Didn't tell them anything they wanted to hear, but I've spoken to them, and I will speak to JBS tomorrow night. We're talking about local government, and there's a lot going on with growth. The county wants to explore alternative forms of government, and we got elections coming up. So,
What do you mean alternative forms of government?
well, the county can run. So you have counties in Idaho, 3 commissioners,
Okay.
and counties in Idaho were originally very rural. So you'd have 3 commissioners, and that was enough. And these guys would usually meet once a week, and that was pretty much, they could get the business done. Well, you have a county now that has 150,000 or 170,000 people in it, and you have 3 people who are trying to run the entire county, and it just doesn't work. The problem that is, it's a perception problem, because people who are in government, who recognize it, they see the dysfunction and they see how it doesn't work. But outside, it's very difficult to express that. Because it's like, well, wait a second, it's working. You guys are doing okay. I mean, you didn't raise taxes last year. It seems like, I get my forms filled out.
We look at it at a very primitive level.
Yeah.
Though, I mean, it's like day to day. How was our day to day life affected?
Right.
And it's a lot of things don't affect us. from day
No,
to day.
but it
except for like gas prices. That's something everybody's
gas
curious
prices
about.
and wearing masks somewhere.
Masks.
But the county government, they wanted to just explore it, and there was such a tremendous pushback against just exploring it. And it comes up every so often. They talk about this more representation with the board. The goal would be to get a part-time board of like 7 people on it, and then have them set the policy that then is run by the staff. But you can't really do that the way we have government set up now, because you have commissioners, but you also have elected officials like an elected coroner, an elected treasurer, elected clerk, elected assessor. And these guys basically run their own kingdoms. So just a case in point, because there's friction between the clerk's office and the Board of Commissioners, which is why I ran for clerk. The Board of Commissioners had to hire and create a new position. So we expanded government in order to make up for the fact that the clerk was not cooperating with the commissioners. And that's part of the dysfunction that needs to be fixed.
Maybe everybody should try acting like adults.
That's always a good thing.
I know that's not probably a good thing
Politics,
to say, but...
no, never happened. Never happened. Adults, no way, no.
I see very childish behavior. I teach communications as part of my curriculum at the college.
Nice.
And I always give public figures as examples of bad communicators.
Wonderful.
In general.
Yeah.
There's so much. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's tomorrow night. Where's this at?
It's at the lady's house. Who's hosting it? She's
Okay.
The,
Is it private?
It is up at Hauser. That's a good question. I don't know, because I have the address. I wouldn't want to give it out.
Well, whatever you want to say, you can put it on your Facebook.
Sure.
And
I will. And I'm going to have pictures, so
Okay.
So I'll be able to share that and talk about what I discussed, hopefully. Oh my God!
Okay.
That's the 5th. No, this is 6th grade.
This is me on your Facebook
Yeah,
page.
Mr. LeBlanc, he was a terrible teacher. He used to
This
fall
guy
asleep
right
in
here.
class.
What,
Yeah, that's
5th
me.
grade?
Yeah, that was 6th grade, and that was when I was really fat. And that was fun.
Yeah.
And that was useless. The guy was just skating. He was not a good
Oh,
teacher.
God,
He
I've
was not
had a
very
few-
active.
I dropped out of school. I went to the 7th
Mhm.
grade for like 2 months and I was done.
Yeah, I don't blame
So
you.
I never went to junior high, never went to high
Oh,
school.
wow.
I was playing in bands.
Okay, cool.
I was
Wow,
rocking,
wow,
yeah.
nice.
But I was managing my band too, so I booked shows at the community center, big shows. We had a sound man with a bus.
Nice.
We'd show up with a bus, and he's still active. He's still around.
Excellent.
Anyway, I'm not here to talk about me, but I can relate to bad teachers. My sixth grade teacher basically had allowed me to sit in the cloakroom. That's what they call it,
Yeah.
cloakroom, and play games all day.
Sweet.
So I didn't really. Anyway, I lost.
Yeah, I basically that was a whole year that I skipped of education because he was just not teaching anything, and so the 7th grade really sucked. I had to catch up.
I'm with you, man.
Yeah, yeah.
So who's this guy?
That was me in the 9th grade. My mom decided she would cut my hair, and she did a terrible job. She just wouldn't stop, and finally she just gave up, and so I had this funky ass haircut.
That doesn't look too bad.
And not now, but this is not fun showing up to picture day. Oh, I worked at Jack in the Box as a slave.
That's Jack in the Box,
That
huh?
is Jack in the Box.
Now, where was this?
This is in San Diego.
Okay.
This is Jack 35, I think, and that was it was on El Cajon Boulevard. I worked there for just a couple of months, and then I transferred to one in La Mesa that was closer to my house. Yeah, you had to wear the little uniform, and
Sure.
I think I'm because my mom whipped out the camera. I'm like, Mom.
Oh, your mom took that picture?
Yeah. So Mom, I see that
Mom,
picture.
come on, Mom.
You know.
But it is on your Facebook
I'm
page,
16
so you
there, yeah.
you are obviously embracing your Jack in the Box.
Yes.
For some
I still prefer, if I'm going to go out, well, Wendy's is my favorite, but Jack still, it holds a special place. And when I see people who work there, I go, you're nuts. You're nuts.
You're nuts.
You're nuts.
So now, when I read about this,
Yes.
this to me was I think this was a big day for you, based on your Facebook post, because wasn't this right before the publishing of your first book?
No.
Or when was
I had
this?
been published for a long time. DOS
Okay.
for Dummies was already out by this time. But
This is 93, right?
Yeah, this is 93. This
Okay.
This is at Davis, California. My sister was attending the veterinary school there. That is my grandfather to the right. And we were visiting, I think Jody was graduating. I think that was her graduation day to get her veterinarian doctor degree. So we went to visit. We took Simon. He was just a wee little baby. And we drove there from San Francisco. I don't know why we were staying in San Francisco, but we drove there from San Francisco. I had bought that shirt years earlier. It says, "Am I famous yet?"
Yeah.
And I used to wear that shirt all the time. And then finally, when DOS for Dummies hit, and it's like I'm all over the news and everything. It was
Yeah.
the shirt finally paid off. I don't know what happened to the shirt. I always would tell people about it, and so I finally found a picture of me wearing the shirt, and I thought, there I am.
Am I famous yet?
Yeah, but the book had already been out, and we were living in Washington at the time, and I was writing books like hell. So yeah,
Good. Yeah.
it was fun.
And here's
and
I
I
just
went-
have a few of your book pictures.
I went to
so-
France in 2011, and I'm just like in the airport or something, and I guess we went to their big store over there. They're like
God, that must be
was
just exciting to see your book in a foreign country.
yeah,
On a shelf
with your name on it.
Yeah.
And there it is. So
That's really cool.
L'Épicie.
I play in a band called Saint.
Yeah.
They're a Christian metal band.
Uh-huh.
But they were founded in '83.
Wow.
So they've got a huge following that they built. I joined the band about 10 years ago.
Nice.
But there's actually a few Saint tribute bands
Oh, cool.
out there. Like there's one in Norway. I think there's one in Germany.
Nice.
I know. It's just like, I get email welcoming me to the family and stuff like that. But
Well, there I am looking at
That's
her. I
cool.
don't know where that probably was taken at the publishers. I think, that was, I went to visit the publisher back in Indianapolis, and the book had just came out. And I do not know the chick on the cover. I wanted to get to know her, but no, they wouldn't let me. So. And this was right after that book was published, and I went ahead and took that selfie, and held it up to put it in there. So here's my latest book. I don't wear suspenders anymore.
do you do your own editing and everything? I mean,
No.
So you write it and then you.
Yeah, to submit it, and they have a production editor who does kind of the macro thing and make sure all the pictures match.
Yeah, I mean.
And then I have an editor that I've worked with for probably 30 years now. Her name's Becky, and she used to live in Indianapolis, but she's moved to Florida. She fled, and I love Becky. She is so wonderful, and she and I work together really well. So
That's
she's
really
taught me
important.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And this was at the New York. There was a huge book fair at New York City, and this was might have been 2011 also. Anyway,
it was a busy year for you.
It was a busy year. And so anyway, so they had me there because it was the 25th anniversary, 20th anniversary.
It's a book
of DOS for
signing.
Dummies.
You're signing books.
And so they threw me in there and they said, sign a bunch of books. And, they're giving them away so people will take them. But yeah, it was DOS for Dummies and a couple of other books. And that was really fun. Met Dr. Ruth there.
Nice.
And they flew me back. I've been to New York like 6 times, and it's always the publisher who flies me to New York. So it's like, yay, free.
Yeah, that's always good.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's another one.
Yeah, that's DOS for Dummies, 2nd edition. I don't know why that is. And that's...
Laptops for Dummies.
Yeah.
All right,
oh my
so...
God, I'm council member now.
Council member now. I wanted to get into a little bit about politics with you. I mean, how do you identify?
I'm straight white male.
Okay. But as far as politics go.
Oh, politics. I'm all over the map. And I consider myself, if I was going to use a category, it would be libertarian. So
Okay.
pretty much leave me the hell alone.
Yeah, and I'll leave you alone.
Yeah, and I'll leave you alone. But we also need to protect people's rights, and that's really important. So
Their right to cross-dress and their right to do whatever they want.
As long as they're not
I kind of identify.
anyone else.
Yeah, I identify as a libertarian
Yeah.
mostly myself,
Mhm.
because it seems to me like libertarians have a lot of qualities from kind of democratic sides. Kind of, it's just.
Oh, I think there's good ideas on both sides.
Yeah, me too.
And there's terrible ideas on both sides.
Yes.
We got a Republican legislature down there in Boise right now who are trying to suppress our right to initiative, our right to protest. I mean, they're doing a lot of stuff that I think is just like, well, guys, you're supposed to protect rights.
What about globalism? Globalists.
I don't know. I don't see. There should be a national identity. And we should embrace that. We should say, here we are, we're Americans. We do, apple pie, and we do baseball, and we do Thanksgiving. And these are the things that we identify with. Doesn't mean we're going to reject other things. I mean, obviously, we love Cinco de Mayo.
Sure.
We could celebrate Chinese New Year. That would be fun, too. But that's kind of been us for hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, but still, we have borders. We have an identity. You have walls in your house. These kind of things. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm not anti-immigration. I think people should immigrate legally. Weird.
Yeah, well, my wife did. It took her. She's from Thailand. I don't know if you know
fun.
that.
Okay.
But she went through a lot. She was married before I met her, but it took her 2 years.
Yeah.
You know what's weird about Thailand is you can't just leave the country.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You have to apply for a visa. You have to. It's not easy for them.
Yeah, for travel or immigration?
Yeah, they can't even
Really?
go on. Like if we wanted to bring her mom over here, it would probably be 2 years.
Wow.
And they might not approve it.
Wow.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
That's a little over the top. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes you want to leave. It's like, if they don't want me to do it, I'm going to try it.
Yeah, and you can't buy property and.
Oh God. Yeah.
So I love this picture because to me you're like a guy who's self-made.
Thank you.
You don't really strike me as anybody who had connections.
No.
That you know what I mean? I've had friends that grew up in wealthy families with all the connections on Wall Street and acting everywhere.
Yeah.
And now that I'm in my mid 50s, I'm talking about people I knew 30, 40 years ago.
Right.
And now because they weren't self-made, they didn't have that drive, they really haven't done much.
No.
And I'm not knocking them,
Yeah.
but I've seen that kind of as a pattern for people. It's like the self-made man, and that's what I love about this picture. So it sounds like I'm right about that. You just
I did it all by myself. I didn't get a huge grant from anyone, and I didn't take out a loan or anything like that.
You didn't have a father that got you a publishing deal?
No, he could care less. He wanted me to have a real job.
Yeah, of course.
Writing is not a real job. You need a real job to fall back on. I'm sure as a musician, I'm sure you've heard that a dozen times.
That's why I went to nursing school.
Right.
And I did it in midlife.
Right.
35, I was tired of being broke.
Yeah.
I was just tired. I was giving guitar lessons, just tired of being broke. And I worked, in healthcare. I was a CNA, my first job.
Nice.
But, yeah, I hear you, man. So I went to nursing school. Now I'm an educator.
So,
but
I hit it well. I wanted to be a writer, and I was writing things and sending them out to magazines. And then the local magazine, local computer publication, which was like the Nicholsworth, they were looking for authors, and I'm like, okay. So I turned in a story, and they published it, and then I turned in another story, and they published that, and it's like, you know what? Here's this area. It would be like, you're trying to be a musician, but all of a sudden you find out that maybe there's like jingles is a thing where they're looking for people who are doing that, and they're going to pay you a lot of money to do it, and you just kind of like, oh my God, I found a niche. And so I found a niche, which was computers, and it was amazing. Even before DOS for Dummies, I was making a ton of money, writing these books because people were eager to have the information.
Sure.
And then Dummies happened, and it just exploded.
Did you?
That was all me.
That's a franchise. What is that? I mean, the dummies, because there's hundreds of dummies books.
It's called an imprint.
Is it okay? Because there's more than one author.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people have written dummies
yeah.
books. Dummies, poker for
Everything.
dummies.
Yeah.
Guitar for dummies. Do you get a piece of that?
No.
Oh, that's too bad.
Well, I could have.
Who invented the title, and then?
Well, the publisher did. So the publisher invented the title, and I was the third author they approached to do it. And so we had a contract. Now, the contract was missing something called derivative rights, which is where they will take the book, DOS for Dummies, and they would have made Mac for Dummies and Internet for Dummies, and all the other ones would have been derivative titles. Then I would have gotten a percentage of that, which would have been about $197 million back in 1998. And because that's when we did the math. Here's the problem with that, though, and dealing with corporate America, is I know other authors who did that, who wrote a successful book, and they had a good contract. I didn't have a good contract. They had a good contract, and all of a sudden the money starts coming in, and corporate America says, no, we can't give this guy that money. So what we're going to do is, can I say nasty words? What we're going to do is screw him.
Say whatever you want.
We're going to screw him out of that money. About 1995 or so, I probably would have ended up in court because they would have taken it away from me, so I would have had to sue them for that. I would have probably been in court for 5-10 years, and that would have been where all the money would have been spent, and eventually there would have been a settlement, and I would not have been able to write anything. And that's probably what would have happened had I had derivative rights.
It's complex.
Yeah,
it's very complex.
But corporate America doesn't want an individual to be successful.
Well, so, it's like there's countless stories like that.
Oh yeah,
the little guy coming up with something,
so the story before that was a book called I think it was called Learning 1-2-3, because Lotus 1-2-3 was a big program back in the 1980s. And the guy wrote the book, and the book just sold like hell. So what the publisher did was they said, we're retitling your book. It's now going to be called something stupid. And we're going to publish another book and call it Lotus 1-2-3, Learning 1-2-3. And we'll publish that one. And the chain didn't know. So all of a sudden they kept ordering the same book. But that guy never made a dime.
Oh, geez.
And that's just, that's corporate America, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
So I'm good. I'm good with where I'm at. I'm having fun. I've enjoyed myself. Like you said, self-made man. There's nothing better than doing that knowing that you can get up. And it is nerve-wracking. But I had a friend back in the early aughts who worked at Sun Computers. And he was making a ton of money. But he would call me, and every day he was anxious because he didn't know when they were going to drop the axe on him. It's like, oh my God, they just fired a whole division over there. And now it's my division.
Am I next?
Yeah, am I next? And yeah, you know what? He was. All of a sudden got the axe. So that's the risk you take when you do corporate America.
Is this why they want to be democratic socialists, just to stop all that? Or?
Well, no, that's basically because it's easy. It appeals to the lazy. It's always like, well, let's share the money, but never share the work.
Yeah.
And so that's what happens.
But in this case, they take the work and they make the money, and you get nothing. And so
that's not even democratic socialism. That's just the oligarchy that
crony capitalism.
Yeah, crony capitalism, which I've thrown that term out there a lot. It just whatever it is, it's wrong. It's stupid.
Yeah, I hear you. And this is on my real estate channel, and
buy real estate.
It's the same thing with real estate. It's like nobody gave me anything.
Yeah.
I went to work for a local brokerage. They gave me nothing.
Oh no.
They promise you everything.
Yeah.
And then they charge you everything.
Right.
And they gave me nothing in 2 years. But I did all right because I work.
Good.
This was a neat picture, I thought.
Yeah.
So I saw the who would think this is a neat picture other than a guy who sits in front of a computer?
Nerdy people.
Because this is the night before election, is that right? Or
was this election night? I don't know what this was, but they were trying to train Woody and I to run the Coeur d'Alene TV studio, and so we were trained. And then I think this might have been candidate interviews. This might have been the governor's campaign or something. And they threw us in there to have us run all the knobs and do the TV. And I was nerve-wracking as heck.
You looked very focused.
I am very focused because I just did not want to screw up, even though we did.
I just thought it was a kind of interesting picture. Right? The caption said something about election. It was related to election.
It was probably the 2014 election, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they've upgraded the whole studio now. It's like all a computer thing.
Yeah, and then of course here you are as a city council member.
This is this was in 2013.
Is that Mike Kennedy?
Yeah, that's Mike Kennedy.
I know Mike.
So that's Mike Kennedy.
I used to give him guitar lessons.
Oh, cool.
Mike's a great guy.
Cool.
I remember when he ran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's me, and I'm trying to back out of the picture, which is why I look all funky.
Well, there's a better picture on Facebook, but I downloaded this one first, and this is
Bloom and Kennedy. This was they were retiring. They didn't chose not to run for re-election. As Miss Goodlander, who's like turning away from us. She's that white blob underneath Mary.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, and so she backed up, and so so it's their last election night, and the new people are coming in. Mayor Widmeyer would be coming in that night, and so it's kind of a awkward moment there for me to get out of the way because it's like they're right behind me.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, what else do I got here? All right, so this gets us into Facebook then. I got a few funny things that I saw on your Facebook, but if you've had posts blocked,
have I?
And I don't know, what is this? Oh, it says Facebook. How can you censor me? This post contains blocked content.
Oh yeah. So what that was apparently you could. There was a thing called meltmail.com. And you could it gave you an email address for 5 minutes. So you got up there, you got an email account for 5 minutes. You could go in and sign into any web page that sent an email confirmation, get your confirmation, and then the account was deleted.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Yes.
So I posted this up there. Just
I have a Google email just for that.
Yeah, well, this was different though because we all have junk email accounts.
But that one disappears.
Spammy. But this one basically they delete the email account when you're done, and Facebook knew about it, so I just thought, let me go ahead and tweak their nose with this.
Yeah, that's hilarious. All right, now this one made me laugh so hard.
Oh God.
Now this was you giving somebody $100 tip.
Yeah.
And then posting it on Facebook because you want to show everybody how great you are.
No, I wanted to show them this is how I was stimulating the economy.
I know. But I read some of the comments.
Yeah.
And I was kind of shocked at how people were criticizing you.
Of course.
And saying nasty things about you.
Oh, I love it.
That you were self-grandizing yourself or making yourself. And here you are giving a waitress $100 tip. And
that was fun.
I think it's great.
Yeah. I did that several times. I stopped posting them after a while because I'm like, I don't need shit for this.
Yeah, and give according to what you can. And
well, they gave me, I got a stimulus check. So last year wasn't a good year.
Oh yeah, I think that was in this post
as an independent person, as a self-employed person, my income goes up and down. So sometimes it's low. Sometimes it's really high. It really depends on when books are released, when the royalties come in.
Sure.
So it's iffy. So basically, as self-employed, I save a lot of money because I never know what next year's going to be. Last year was really stupid. No. 2019 was a really low year. So I got a stimulus check. I got like $400.
And then 2020 comes along.
And 2020 came along. And 2020 was a good year for me, actually. But I got a stimulus, and I'm like, $400. What am I going to do with $400? And everyone on Facebook is like, well, spend it local. Spend it local. I'm like, I like to eat out. So I took the boys out to Cedars. And I'm like, we'll give her a $100 tip. And I gave her a $100 tip. And we did the same thing, I think, at Monarch. And we did the same thing. God, lots of places around town, we've given big money as tip. We should give it as cash. I mean, that's the generous thing to do would be to put the cash in there, and that way they can just claim 15% or whatever the minimum is, and they could keep the rest without paying taxes on it.
Have you ever seen like a couple of police officers eating and paid their bill or anything like that? Yeah, I've done that a few times.
Oh.
Or like soldiers.
Yeah.
I saw some. And now, it's weird. The weirdest thing about like getting older is I don't feel any older, but I've seen a lot more.
Yeah.
And things happened a lot longer ago.
Yeah.
And now when I look at soldiers, they're like kids.
Yeah, they are kids.
You'll see them sitting around a table and,
well, I wanted to do that when we went
to cover their tab, give them like $60-$70 and walk out the door and don't say anything.
So
this is fun.
A couple go into Syringa. We were sitting in there in Syringa, and they were old, and they weren't wearing the masks. And then they told them to put on the masks. And I was like, there, we'll buy their dinner. But they ate too fast.
Anyway, that's good. I mean, the Bible teaches us to do our good deeds in secret, but...
Oh my God, my dressing room.
I love this picture, and I find out that you have been on a game show?
It's not a game show.
What is it?
It's a panel show. I mean, it's classified as a game show, but no one wins any money. So,
okay.
Yeah, they just.
I've never seen it, but Sandy was bragging about it.
Yeah.
On her Facebook.
Yeah. That was fun.
That's funny. The last time I saw Sandy was 8 years ago.
Really? Wow.
And I ran into her at Albertsons.
Okay.
And she's like, let's go do lunch.
Yeah.
I said, yes. And we talked a few times. And then I saw a post that we were talking on Facebook. I'm like, oh my God, that was 8 years ago. Now it was 9 because it was.
Oh, jeez.
And here you are on the panel.
I'm not on the panel. I took
Or
this
no.
picture from my seat.
I thought that was you with the mask on.
No. I took this picture from my seat looking at the celebrities, and this was during a break.
Okay.
So we're in commercial or whatever.
Yeah.
And the celebrities two of them are on their phone. Alfonso was not. So.
Where was this?
This was in Burbank.
Okay. Where they're all at. Probably.
Well, yeah. This is a studio out in the middle of some industrial park. There were these two huge buildings, sound stages, and we were in one just to sit, and then there was the second one where they actually had the set. And I guess so. This set's all mobile. It breaks down. They put it in a truck, and they can put it in anywhere. They told us they originally in Studio City, which is just south, but this was in Burbank, so it was weird.
Yeah, it's cool. All right,
Yeah.
so what? Okay, so what the hell is going on, Dan? I mean, was it a fair election?
No.
Is Biden? I agree. I don't.
I think it was stolen. And it's just. But the thing is, when you have an election stolen, you just say, okay, the election was stolen. We don't think it was fair. Obviously, if you legitimately won an election, would you have troops massing in the Capitol?
No.
And fences up? No. I think it was an illegitimate election. I think the runoff election in Georgia was also illegitimate.
I do too.
But what the hell are we going to do about it? I mean, I don't think that we should be protesting or doing other things, but you just got to say, look, if the election process is going to be fair, we need to make some changes. You can't have people keep voting until they get it right.
Well, see, I go really deep down the rabbit hole with all this stuff and have for years. But the virus.
Oh yeah.
It's to me, it all ties together.
Well, I don't think it was planned. I think the virus was a happy accident, where they took advantage of it. And the whole world took the Chinese communist approach, which is let's lock everyone down. We've never done that before.
Yeah, but they only locked down for a couple months.
But still, they locked down, and
Sure.
so we didn't know they were going to stop. We locked down. You can't do that in a republic. You can do that in a communist country because they can just basically mess with them, haul
But
them off.
people right now are so quick to bow down to government authority.
Yeah, that's
Not-
because they don't believe in God.
I agree. We haven't talked about God. I don't know what your views are on that. But this picture says a lot about who you are and what you believe and how I can relate to you. Because putting these troops around the Capitol looks like a third world country.
We are pretty much a banana republic at this point. So
Who's the president? I mean, who's in charge right now?
Who runs things?
It ain't Biden.
No.
It ain't Biden. I know that. There's no way he's capable.
It's a combination. Well, first of all, a lot of what they do, there's no real orchestration behind it. Otherwise, it would run a lot better. But it's kind of it's an oligarchy. So you have Wall Street bankers, and you have now big tech, and the media, and basically it's all run off of fear. There's no motivation here. But I would say, consistently for the past 60 years in this country, it's been military. I mean, what can we do? They didn't like Trump, not because he was crazy and he said weird things on Twitter, but they didn't like him because he didn't go to war. And they need the war in order to fuel that industry. So that's why, I mean, what's one of the first things Biden did was he bombed Syria.
Right.
Holy cow.
Right back to business as usual.
Absolutely, and that's what they want. They want a war so that they can go out and spend the money.
And then we got guys like Cheney, who are right in the middle of all of that
Halliburton
stuff.
and Schlumberger and all the other ones that need to make money from oil and everything.
Yeah.
That's the motivator for all this stuff. And so I don't know if there's actually someone in charge. It's interesting. Here's a wonderful conspiracy theory that I can unload on you. Is if you go back all the way to Jimmy Carter, every single president, not Reagan and not Trump, every single president has had a black eye. At some point in their presidency.
Like a literal black eye.
You see them with a black eye. Like Romney just had one a couple of times ago. And I always wonder, why is it? Why is it all of a sudden these guys, and I fell, I hit a door or something. But you see them and they had a black eye. Where are they getting the black eyes from? I mean, Clinton, it could have been Hillary, but...
Yeah, she probably threw a crack pipe at him.
I'm sure she threw something at him. But, it's just, it makes me wonder, who actually runs the thing? Who is it who comes into the Oval Office and tells him what to do?
Yeah.
So, with Biden, I don't know. I mean, I don't think he knows what he's doing. So.
Well, when we were teenagers, like the John Birch Society, I used to get the newsletter when I was like 16 or 17. Me and my brother, we were totally into all that stuff. Prepping, and we were prepping before prepping was cool. I had a stash of candy bars.
Yes.
I was ready.
Funny.
So yeah, okay, this kind of touches on religion a little bit. I thought this was
that
interesting.
Joel Osteen?
Joel, I don't know, and that must be his wife.
She's stacked.
What What are your thoughts on Joel? Why did you post this picture?
Oh, I probably because I think he's a charlatan.
Mm-hmm.
And, most of the big church guys, I think, are in it for the money, obviously. Yep. And that is not Christianity. That's not a religion.
They are clouds without water.
Of course, yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's, a lot of people love them, and it's fine, if that's what your thing is. But I do not like people who, first of all, they abuse politics. So you have people like the governor of California who says, lockdown, don't go home, don't go out, and then the guy's out eating without a mask.
Yes, hypocrites.
And same thing, hypocrites with religion. I mean, people say, oh, you got to be poor, send me your money, I need a third jet. It's like, really?
Well, the prosperity gospel to me is just like a slap in the face, because what apostle was prosperous? I mean, was Jesus prosperous?
We don't know.
Worldly...
That's not what they're known for.
The Bible says he didn't even have a place to lay his head. He was born in a barn.
And when he had to pay his tax, he pulled it out of a fish's mouth.
Because he didn't have any money. He didn't have a bank account.
So that was, and then you have Saint Francis, who's the Franciscans. They're all preach poverty, and that's a big thing, helping the poor. And it's always been a point of contention. I mean, the Catholic Church is very rich, obviously.
Yes.
And so it's one of the big arguments, of course, in the Middle Ages was, should the church be poor? Should the church be rich? I mean, this goes way back.
Yeah, it sure does.
Mm-hmm.
I think we probably agree on most
Oh
of that.
God.
And then this kind of ties into what we were just talking about. Is okay. So I'm a nurse, and I teach infection control. Okay. That's one of the subjects I teach. And when this hit the news, I was watching the news saying, that's not what I know. That's not what I teach. That's not what I learned. No. But these are top level government doctors and officials that are spreading this idea of wearing a mask. Mm-hmm. So I went back and did a little research on mask studies. Yeah. And I have a video of it on Facebook where I looked at 7 different studies. Mm-hmm. Every one of them said wearing a mask doesn't work. Of
course, it doesn't.
Every one of them. Mm-hmm. And then... And even I even found one study where they recommended that nurses who do wound care not wear a mask because it knocks skin cells off their face and it falls into the wound. Wow. And it can infect the wound. Okay. Those are just alerts. Okay.
Is it plugged in?
Yeah, it's going. But no, it's not plugged in. Well, we're almost done anyway. But it's a lot of misinformation.
As masking has never been listed as an effective way to combat a virus or any pandemic in
the
history of medical literature or scientific literature, and it became such the worst part about it was when they said, I don't wear the mask to protect me, I wear it to protect you, which instantly makes you a villain if you don't wear a mask. And that's psychologically brilliant. I'm absolutely sure they didn't plan it that way, but it's the way it turned out. Yeah. So we all don't care. We want to kill grandma because we're not wearing a mask.
I'm not protecting anybody because I'm not sick.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is we're all not. The assumption is we're all sick. If you follow the math that they presented, that Fauci presented early in the pandemic, and he talked about one person infecting 2 people, and then 4, and then 8, and so you get this geometric progression. If that was true, we should have all had this several times over by now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's like, and they dropped that.
The exponential factor doesn't hold up.
They aren't bringing that in, to any discussion now because obviously it's proved false. Oh, I love guns.
You like the way I moved the conversation along?
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, and of course, everybody loves guns. Not everybody, but most people who shoot them end up liking them.
Oh, of course.
I mean, if you can take an anti-gunner out and give them an AK-47, they're probably going to get a little bit of a rush out of it. And what is that?
That is an AK-47.
Yeah, with a suppressor.
Well, I bought the suppressor. Now I'm waiting for the tax stamp to clear. So the suppressor, you buy them and then the government has to approve it for some reason. Why it's David?
Well, basically they just have to make sure that they have your name and address and phone number.
That is pretty much what it is. And so
so they can come and get it.
But that's my AK. That's a I think it's a Polytech. AK, so it's pre-ban. That was a pre-ban Clinton thing. So it has the threaded barrel on it. It has a bayonet mount. It has all the things that scare liberals.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was people thought I actually bought that, but I'm not that stupid. Because that's your 50 caliber,
50 cal, right?
Desert Eagle Hollywood gun. They think all the bad guys carry that. The gangbangers.
Nobody's going to carry that.
No one carries. It's the most ineffective, stupid gun.
The bullets are like this big around,
and they cost $5 a piece. So why the hell would anyone buy that gun?
The first time I experienced one of these, I was with my previous girlfriend and her father-in-law had some
Okay,
guns.
all right.
He had the 50 cal.
Oh,
it didn't
jeez.
really look like that. It looked more like a 38.
Yeah.
But she picks it up. And we were in North Dakota where they have private dumps.
Okay.
Because they don't have garbage service.
Okay.
And everybody's on like 50-acre lots.
Okay.
That's what the subdivision looks
Sweet.
like in North Dakota. And so we go out to the dump, and there's a TV about 30 yards away in the dump. And she just reaches down, and you could just see the weight.
Yeah.
And she points it, and she fires it.
Yeah, and her arm falls off.
And throws her arm back, knocks her shoulder out of joint, and the TV blows up. I was just like, what are you doing? I think you should probably ask before you grab a 50 cal.
They ended up selling that, by the way. It wasn't in there the next time we went in. It's East County Guns.
It's got your
great
fingerprints on it.
Yeah, it does.
All right, so this is you being a philanthropist.
Well, actually, that was me volunteering for the Pan Can people. That was before. This is my friend Susie. You can't see her, but we were volunteering there for feeding the runners who were running to raise money for pancreatic cancer research.
I know this guy.
Yeah, David.
Is he still alive?
No, he passed. He passed about 5 or 6 years ago.
I thought so,
and he was such a thorn in the side of the city. They hated him. The electeds. They hated when he come up there because he talked all this conspiracy stuff.
Yeah.
Theories, UFOs,
and he had notebooks on everything.
And the guy, he showed up to my house once. And he had a stack of papers this high, and he's like, I got to tell you about the conspiracy and all this stuff. And he's a fun guy, very smart, very sincere. There's nothing to him though. I mean, the guy is rail thin.
Yeah.
But he knew. So Sandy's my ex, and her new husband Dave was in a prayer group with David. And but David passed a few years ago, so we had Thanksgiving. That was Thanksgiving.
Oh, I met him through my son.
Okay.
My son and he said, my son's like, I met this guy. He's really cool. And so he used to come over to my house and hang out.
David Barger, that was his name.
What's going on here?
So we have these equipment, these street sweepers. I love street sweepers. I think they're so cool.
I love when they hit the streets because it means nice weather's here.
Yes.
Or close by.
Yeah, so we had a contest to name the street sweepers, and I thought it would be fun. I kind of pushed this myself. And so we had this young lady is I believe she's at North Idaho Christian Academy, and she named this one Kirby, and so Kirby is still with us, and Kirby, you'll see Kirby out there. The other one was named Caleb, which
Kirby the Sweeper.
Kirby the Sweeper, which I thought was really clever. The other girl named the sweeper Caleb after her little brother that she loves. So we have Kirby and Caleb. We have another sweeper that hasn't been named yet, but I hope they do the same thing.
Well, hope they don't call it Hoover.
Hoover. Yeah.
That's all I.
Well, I thought of all these things they could call it, and I gave some sample names. But, oh my God, there I am at the Temple of Apollo in Corinth.
I love these stuff because there is always a big story behind a picture like this. So go ahead.
Yeah, this is the Temple of Apollo in Corinth.
Nice.
How
old
Greece.
is
it? The temple?
Yeah, it's
2,000 years old, 2,500 years old.
Yeah.
It's been around for a long time.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so Corinth had a hell of a business going. So they had Corinth is right there at the isthmus, and it used to be before they dug the canal. You would have to have your boat. You could pay to have your boat hauled over the isthmus. Took overnight, which meant you got to stay overnight. I mean, see, they were clever even back then.
Yeah.
You had to stay overnight.
Yeah.
They had a hell of a brothel there, so they were doing a booming business. And this is the remains of the Temple of Apollo. I am 17 in that picture.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
How old are you in this picture?
17.
17. Yeah, I think you said that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I got to hear about this picture.
This is I think before Sandy and I were married. So that's Sandy and me. That is my editor at Microsoft, Mike Halverson, and that's another Microsoft executive who I do not remember. And so we went to Binion's to play craps, and of course took the obligatory picture in front of the $1 million. And we actually came out quite well that night.
Did you?
We made a ton of money that night.
Nice.
So that was nice.
Never played craps.
We didn't know how to play it. Sandy didn't know how to play it, and she won a bunch of money.
And this shows you as the rock star that you are at heart. Do you play the piano?
Yes, I do.
I had no idea. See?
My sons, that's Jeremiah on the left and Jonah on the right, they both taught themselves how to play the guitar, the ukulele, the piano. Jerry's teaching himself how to play the bass right now. And so we saw all these goofy album covers, and we said, let's do a goofy album cover. And so that's us going, that's our goofy album cover picture.
I think that might be the last one I got. Okay, so what are your plans for the future?
Don't really have no political plans.
Okay.
I do want to travel, and I've been putting that off because I want to be for the city obviously is a priority.
Yes.
So I don't want to be one of those guys who's out of town on vacation. It's like, oh, guy's out of town. Because quite honestly, if I was out of town, they would get things done a lot faster because it would be a lot.
But who knows what they'd be doing?
Yeah, now God only knows what they'd be doing. And if they knew that, if I said, well, I'm going to be out of town next month, it's like, well, let's schedule all this stuff for the meeting when he's not here. But yeah, nothing political. I like to travel. Don't really have any desire to run for anything. I don't want to run for mayor, so don't ask me to.
You don't want to run for mayor?
No. If I ran for mayor, it would totally neuter me on the council because then I would not be a vote. So instead of seeing 5-1 votes, you would see 6-0 all the time. The mayor is actually not supposed to be as powerful as he is. It's supposed to be more of an administrative function, and the city council is supposed to set policy that the mayor follows. But see, the city of Coeur d'Alene has no policy manual, so the mayor has more authority, and they like it that way. But yeah, I want to get out of that business and just kind of,
Have you ever thought about doing any theater?
Yes. In fact, Todd Jasmine called me once a few years ago because he wanted me to be in a show, and it's like, oh, Todd, I'd love to be in a show, but really the city is a priority, which means 2 Tuesdays out of the month I have to be at the city council meeting, and if that's during your hell week, I can't be at a rehearsal when you need me the most. So it's the big thing for me when I was a director, and you cast a show, is conflicts. What else are they doing? A lot of these teenagers, like, they incredible talent, but they got soccer and they got band and they got church and they got all this other stuff they're doing, and it's like, I'm going to need you for 6 weeks. And I can't have that conflict, but
gotta be there.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, I'd like to go back and do the theater. In fact, that's what I was thinking. Is if I'm out of politics, then I can go back and do theater, which is really fun. And it's always interesting to meet great people.
Yeah, well, I'm really glad you're on the city council.
Thank you.
I see we're like-minded, and I'm not a guy who likes to necessarily visit with people who are like-minded. I love to visit with people who think just the opposite.
Yeah.
But I could just tell by your Facebook that we're like-minded. And
well, yeah, but I still piss people off. I mean, I still have the ability to say, this is something I do all the time. Well, let's look at the other side.
Yeah.
Let's see what is it? What's the thinking going on over there? Because you always, if you really want to make a point and sound intelligent, you always have to look at the other side and say, well, what's the argument against this? And
I want pushback.
Yeah.
I want my ideas challenged and my beliefs to be challenged
all the time.
So
yeah, because I may change my mind, and I've done that. They were going to raise some fee on something, and so I'm looking at it going, no, they don't need to raise a fee. Why are we paying so much money for this?
Right.
And then finally at the meeting, they said why we were paying so much money for it. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's stupid. We have to raise the fee, obviously.
So some things make sense.
Yeah, so once it makes sense, it's like, yeah, I can change my mind. But
right.
And I think we should all be able to do that. It's not flip-flopping. I mean, flip-flopping is when, I meet with you and I say the things you want to agree with, and then I meet with someone else and I say the things he wants to agree with.
Right.
That's the flip-flopper,
Yeah, because you don't have any solid grounded principles.
No.
You're just
catering. So
yeah.
And that's most of politicians.
It is.
They just want to kiss the butt.
And my mind's running in a million different directions. I'd love to talk to you more, but we should. Oh, that's fine. I was like, I didn't
start. We're not recording the screen.
I was like, yeah, we're not recording the screen. Well, my name's Matt. This is kind of my real estate channel, and this is Dan Gookin. We didn't talk about real estate at all, but that's okay.
It's going nuts. It really is. And people always ask, what can we do about the rising home prices and all this stuff? And the answer is nothing. Unfortunately, that's really the answer, because anytime government's going to come in, it's going to make it worse.
And I have counseled more than one person not to sell their home.
Yeah.
Because it's not like it used to be where you can sell your home, throw in another 10, 20, 30 grand and get a little bit bigger home.
Yeah.
That was kind of what traditionally people have done.
Yeah.
So now you sell your home for whatever, $350,000, $400,000, and then you're going to go buy the same home for more money. or that's what's happening.
Downgrade.
So I've told people, it's like, you're better off to keep that equity in your pocket for now. You see it flipping. You see the economy crashing, and
I've talked to other realtors, and the real estate market's going to go nuts. As long as the blue states are acting as crazy as they are, we're going to have people who come here as refugees.
And that's what's driving it.
Absolutely.
So that is a different factor than what we had in 2008.
Yes.
We didn't have that factor.
No,
really,
that was driven by the banks who were eager to sign up anyone for any loan whatsoever.
Yes.
Here, I mean, and you know this because the average home price has reached the jumbo loan plateau. So not only do you have to qualify for a jumbo, but you need to have even more money to pay down to get into the house. So it's getting crazy.
Yeah, I've got a list of buyers that I can't service.
Right. And it's people who live here. And so one of my
is.
complaints in the city council is that we have done very little to attract the jobs here that would make the housing more affordable. I mean, they've always pushed that off. Oh no, we're a resort town. No, there are no jobs. They're not coming back. And they missed some tremendous opportunities.
Like,
Well, to attract business here, we could use urban renewal like they have in Twin Falls to bring in some jobs that are decent jobs that will give people a good wage so they can afford to live here.
mm-hmm.
But no, we'd rather build parks.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, like I said, we could go on and on, but I hope you guys enjoyed my discussion with Dan here. I sure did.
I had fun. Thank you.
And I'd love to have you back someday.
Okay. If I survive?
Yeah. Well, if I survive.
Yeah, we will survive.
So anyway, everybody have a great day, and we'll see you out there.
Thanks.
Cool.
Thank you. That was fun.
Yeah.
Wow. God, what fun for you.
It is
I'm
fun.
jealous. You had a better studio than me.